Are you saying that we should look to create like, are you familiar with BNI? And I don't know, Eric, are you familiar with BNI? So BNI was this group that started years ago, and now it's all throughout the United States where you go in and you're the only real estate agent. Now you're the only mortgage broker, financial advisor, attorney, and then you all get together and you see how you can refer business to each other in essence. And you get together like once every month, once every 2 weeks on the same day. And so that's what I'm getting the vibes on, Stuart. Is that what you're recommending that we do? We start this our own little referral group within our niche city or area? Those are real buyers that will show up. We write letters for those. We're very specific in the letters that we write. So let's say it's Nick Baldwin. I'm going to write up the letter and it's going to say, hey, Mr. Seller, I've got a husband and a wife, Nick and Ann, and they're looking for this single family residence. It's in your neighborhood. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We've got another great webinar with Chime, and this time we're going to be talking about relationships, just using the Chime system to show you the capabilities that it has to be able to build those, because we're currently doing that right now. We use them. We love, by the way, guys, we talked with Corey Prince just maybe like an hour ago about his processes for lead generation and how he uses AI. And I'm like, dude, it's absolutely insane. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about this. We were talking a little bit about it. But first, everybody that's jumping in on the webinar side of this and on Facebook, let us know what city and state you're from. Just type it into the chat. I'll start with me. I am here in Ventura County, Los Angeles County in California. Stuart, where are you at?
I'm in White Rock, British Columbia, which is right on the border next to Bellingham, Washington.
Oh, I know where that's at, dude. That's where one of my friends is at. Glenn Sanford is from out there. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
he's in
that.
Bellingham.
I love that. How about you, Eric?
Hey, I'm currently in Phoenix, Arizona area.
What part of Phoenix, dude? Come on, Gilbert, Scottsdale.
Goodyear.
Good, nice.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
I like that. I like that. We got Tanisha, what's up? Louisiana, Beth, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Jessica, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Don from Old Miss, Oxford. All right, let's get started, guys. Stuart, what's on your mind today, man?
Well, I think because of what's happening in the industry and the whole fear about interest rates and how we are going to drive business in the next 2 years, it's important to talk about relationships within the industry. And when I think about relationships, I'm talking about, not necessarily a relationship with your client or someone else is in your office, but I'm talking about a third party relationship, such as a mortgage broker who might be referred from a past client. But let's talk about some important stats. So whenever I'm doing one of these, Tristan, I try and come up with some interesting information that might be relevant out there. So we all know that only about 4% of people reuse an agent more than once, which is a scary stat if you're thinking about your long-term business strategy. So you have to think about kind of, how can I keep those people interested and how can I build my business on top of that? So 92% of consumers trust a referral from people that they know. Obviously, so if you get your name out there and can get referred as often as possible, you're going to do much better. Referred customers have about a 30% higher conversion rate than your typical lead generation. I mean, you and I have talked about this before, but if you're buying leads, what's the conversion rate on those? It's like somewhere between 1% and 3%, right? That's tradition. I guess if you're going down the Flex or Opcity or some of the other newer, ways of buying leads, they're a little bit higher, but still really low.
Yeah.
And if you think about what an agency can do, often about 60% of the company's revenue is actually built off of referrals. So there's some things you really need to do in this market. And I have a couple of different concepts that I think about, because if you look at North America in the last 15 years, there's been about $8 trillion in wealth created through real estate. So if I buy real estate, the real estate that I bought 12 years ago is now worth, $1.1 million more than it was when I bought it. So if you take all the transactions in North America, it's about $8 trillion in wealth. So where does a lot of that wealth sit? That's my question. And who controls it, right? If I'm out there in the marketplace, typically I'm going to have a relationship with a few different people, right? So I've got a relationship with a real estate agent, but I've also got a relationship with a really good mortgage broker. But guess what? They don't talk, shockingly, right? They're in completely different places. And I've also got a relationship with my financial advisor, which controls really what I do with my money, right? So you have to kind of look at it like, really, these people should start talking more and develop relationships and build that referral network out through other professionals that are doing the same type of business as you are. Really, when you think about a mortgage broker, it's very similar to a real estate agent. Little bit different, but they have relationships with a lot of people, and they're doing the same thing that a real estate agent is doing. They're looking for customers. We have mortgage brokers that are using our platform today. What I'd like to see of this is this cohesive relationship. And really, as we look at what the consumer is doing from an individual perspective, they're much more educated, right? They know the sites that they have to visit. They know the portals that they have to go on. And they're looking for places, and then they're kind of passing that information on to their real estate agent or their mortgage broker. So what I'd like to see is a little more conversations and communication taking place between those specifically mortgage brokers and real estate agents. But long term, I think you have to start building relationships with people that are controlling the actual money that's being spent. If you talk to, and I'll give you a little example, if you talk to a financial advisor, what are they going to talk about? Mutual funds, stocks, bonds. They don't even think about that. Even for me, if I look at the 1.1 million I have in my home, what I'm going to do with that, they don't talk about it. So those three people have to start working together, not only to just build relationships between the three, but extending those out to their client bases to deliver a referral market.
Are you looking to, are you saying that we should look to create, like, are you familiar with BNI? And I don't know, Eric, are you familiar with BNI? So BNI was this group that started years ago, and now it's all throughout the United States, where you go in and you're the only real estate agent. Now you're the only mortgage broker, financial advisor, attorney, and then you all get together and you see how you can refer business to each other, in essence. And you get together like once every month, once every 2 weeks on the same day. And so that's what I'm getting the vibes on, Stuart. Is that what you're recommending that we do? We start this, our own little referral group within our niche city or area?
Absolutely, right? I know, like, again, I always use myself as an example, but, I play hockey twice a week. And on those hockey teams, I have all three of those components, right? But none of them are working together in any sense of the way it matter, right? And for me, it's getting harder. It's getting harder for real estate agents and brokers. Brokers are so worried about recruiting agents, and agents are worried about getting new customers. But there's these other businesses that are out there that could provide instant access to many potential customers who have the wealth and have the knowledge about what they want to do in the marketplace. When you think of those conversations, you're a realtor, right? You understand those conversations that you had 7 years ago when a customer bought a house, and they had this vision of what they wanted to do and where they would be in 7 to 10 years. We should be using that information to create that network and follow up appropriately, right? Because as a real estate agent, you should be managing those customers just like that. I know in 7 years you had a vision of having a lake house or of having 2 rental properties. Where are we at with that? What are we doing with the wealth that you've built up? Oh, let me talk to a mortgage broker on your behalf. Let me introduce you to that person. Oh, and by the way, I have this great financial advisor that I work with. Are you interested in talking to them? So it becomes a network of professional people and consultants on what you're going to do to get to your retirement. It's really what we're all worried about, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, ultimately.
I like that. All right. So then how can we start using Chime to start this either consistent communication with this referral group that we're going to create, or to just engage with these people over a longer period of time? Eric, is that where you come in to show us how we can do this with Chime?
That's part of what I'm here for. Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that, buddy. I figured that.
I get to show all the fun stuff, the hands-on using our awesome platform, of course, to accomplish what Stuart's describing. Stuart, did you have anything you wanted to add before I jump into show you how to use the platform?
No, it's great. Just maybe that, once you get these relationships in place, you can all combine that data into Chime, educate not only the borrower or the lender, audit the processes that you're using today, and make sure that you're updating the system effectively so that it is up to date and you know exactly what's going on and when should you be reaching out to that customer to have that next conversation, depending on what part of the relationship you're in.
All right. I like that, man. And let's take a look at that, because I would envision in the future, once we've got these in place, I think then we can use the system partially to nurture and make sure that we're setting up these appointments that we're going to go to and show up to. I like it, dude. Yeah. Eric, what you got for us, man? I want to see this.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about how lenders are embedded in the Chime platform. Specifically, we do have what's called a dedicated lender account. It's a lender type account on Chime, built for partnerships that Stuart's describing. So within our platform, there's a couple of different ways to collaborate and have that type of communication, that active communication, ongoing referrals, new leads coming in and being sent to your lender, and having that referral back and forth. One of the best ways to do that is, of course, by adding them directly to your account as a lender type account. So in our platform, I'm just going to go into our settings right now and show you what this looks like. We have, in this sample account, I've got a lender called JLender. Okay.
Yeah, I see.
And we have the ability to add additional lenders. In fact, there's a couple of different ways to add lenders in the Chime platform. If I click on add a lender up here, I've got the opportunity to split the costs for advertising with a lender if I would like to do so. So if you're running lead generation through Chime, you can split that 50% with a lender partner. And you can also split the platform cost if you would like. Now, that is not required. You can add what we call flex plan lenders. Essentially, you add as many additional lender partners that you want to collaborate with on the Chime platform. They get an invite to join Chime, and they have a lender version of our platform, which I will show you in a second.
Okay.
So this JLender is an example of what that looks like. And I have the ability to collaborate with JLender in a variety of ways. But first, let me show you what Jay's account looks like. In this purple window that you're seeing now on your screen, this is our lender account. You'll see, if you're familiar with Chime, that the navigation is much shorter. It is a more basic version of our platform, but has the key components for that communication back and forth between agents and lender. So when I have the ability to record all of my leads, and I have a unique lead pipeline. So let me show you what it looks like first on the agent side, because typically in this scenario, we got a lead that's flowing from the agent's website or the agent's lead sources or whatever. And I'm going to jump back to their view and show you how you can actually set up lead routing in the Chime platform to send it directly to your lender partners. So within the Chime platform, you're looking at the blue window. I'm just jumping back and forth between instances here. Cool. We're back on the agent view, okay? And I control lead routing for my lenders. So I have the ability to create a rule, variety of different criteria, lead sources, etc. So I could really create a a landing page on my website. I could create different ways to capture these leads and send them directly to an agent within my organization, within my team, or to myself, or to a lender. And I can do both at the same time. So down here at the bottom is where I'd actually choose my lender. So this is a dedicated rule for a lender specifically. What that looks like in reality is I've got a lead record here. There's this test messy lead here. There's a dedicated spot in our lead profiles for lenders, and the lead writing can assign a lender automatically, so they get access to the lead. So
Eric, I have a
that's how you
question on that.
initiate that.
Is
Yeah,
there
please.
is there an opportunity for us to add somebody else other than a lender? Because I know like Stuart and I are talking now like financial advisor, inspector, whatever. Is that a possibility or no?
Yeah, I mean, technically you could use that type of an account for other partnerships if you would like. We call it a lender type account because that's what it was initially designed for, right? So the primary use is indeed for those lenders. Now, let me say that the scenario I'm explaining to you and showing you is what the dedicated lender type account is for, but you could technically use any of the seats on your account to bring someone into your organization. So if you have additional seats that you want to utilize to build out your team, whether that is a lender, financial advisor, other key pieces of your pod that you're building out, then you can use those and invite them for full functionality in your platform. So that is absolutely possible.
Yeah, I think you're almost managing like a team, right? If you're a really good agent or you're behaving like the consultant that you are, you're actually managing those people and developing the information that they need to get out of the system more so than anybody else will.
Yeah, I like this process because now, sure, I don't know that I had actually thought about this before, by the way, so thank you. Because I took some notes here and I'm thinking now, because if I'm giving, let's just look at it like a marketing platform, right? My website now becomes a marketing platform where if I want to include not only the lender, but an inspector, a financial advisor, whatever, let's just say 7 or 8 people.
Add
And
social media to that, right, as well, where you've built a network and you've become the market expert and you know who to recommend. You've got testimonials for each of those members of your group.
Yeah.
And now you've really expanded you could even call it at arm's length, your company is growing, or the vision of what you see as a company growing.
Yeah.
It's got great potential. And I think unless you're thinking outside the box like that, the next 2 years, you could struggle as a real estate professional.
Well, I'm thinking a little deeper in the sense that if my lender's already contributing towards my Google PPC, why isn't my financial advisor or my inspector or everybody else who's going to be part of this process when we take somebody through it? So it may not be as heavy as my lender, right? Like, let's say my lender does $1,000 a month. Maybe my inspector does 100. Maybe my financial advisor does 150 or 200. But I think at that point it starts adding up, and then everybody really gets really invested in this so that they can help you win. Tanisha's got a question. Are there a certain amount of seats that you have for this? Who does that go to, Stuart or Eric?
Probably Eric on that one.
Well, the lender type, you can add as many lender type accounts as you want. There's no limit. They're not getting the full on platform access to your team, right? They're not getting a website. They're not getting a number of the tools that are part of the standard Chime platform for agents. But if you're talking about adding them as members of your team so that they do have full on access, then yes, your seat limit would be established by the package you purchase on Chime. And you can always expand that and add additional seats as you see fit.
All right, it makes sense. Because dude, I'm kind of digging that, Stuart. I didn't think about that before. So thank you.
That happened the last time we were on as well.
I know, man. We need to
throw these ideas out there and start
Eric and
talking
Stuart,
about them.
We just need to have you guys on every week.
Do it.
I like that. I like that.
So there's a lot of different, I think it's important that I show you kind of the communication piece. And we understand, of course, where you can add these accounts now. We understand that you've got a couple of different setups and ways that you can actually create this group that you're going to work with. But now what can you actually do on the Chime platform? I just want to make sure that we're showing you hands-on the communication piece. If I go into a lead record, let's just go into Daniel Chime here. You'll see I scroll down on the bottom left side to the assigned to section, and I've got JLender. I showed you that before. So I know there's a lender assigned to this. If I wanted to manually replace JLender with a different lender, I could do so. And once again, lead routing automatically put J in that slot. So I can automatically assign it. I can distribute it to a variety of lender partners that I'm working with. So if I've got 3 different lender partners that I'm collaborating with, then I could have lead routing send 25% to one and then 50 to the other. I've got different percentages that I could do in lead routing as well. The collaboration component is definitely important. The notes is where you're going to do most of your collaboration. I click up here in the notes section right at the top, and with the @ symbol, I'm going to be able to notify those that have access to this lead record. So that includes teammates that are within my Chime account or lenders that I have associated with my account as well. So I've got JLender here, and I can tag JLender and say, this is a note. Click on add note. And what this will do is it's going to save that note on the lead record, of course, and that note will be added right here as a on the timeline, so that I can always reference that as needed in the future. But let me jump over to the lender side account and show you what that looks like. Got too many profiles here on Chrome. So on the lender side, this purple window that you're looking at, I have a new notification, and there's a note from Salvador Dali here that says I've been tagged in a note. So I can actually click on that notification, and I will receive an email notification as well as a lender. So if I'm not in the platform at the time, I will get that email coming in, and I can see the notes. Anything that I'm tagged in, I'm able to see what I have, what's been received on my end. So I can do the same thing back, right? I can tag Salvador here, and he'll receive a notification, an email, and within the platform that he's been tagged in a note. So just within the notes functionality between the lender version and the agent version, you've got the ability to collaborate and add communication right there within the platform.
Do they also
Yeah.
have the option to get notified by text or no?
Not for this type of notification specifically, at least not to my knowledge. This notification is not going to be a text, it'll be an email or a push notification.
Okay, and the other part is, if let's say my lender in this case has someone to add here, can they also add them on here and we get notified? How does that work?
So they have someone else that they want to collaborate with on this lead, or a new lead record?
Brand new lead coming through, and they're like, you know what?
Yeah, not on our current version. There's some improvements that we're planning to really amplify the functionality of what you're seeing today as the lender instance. But for that type of functionality, you'd probably want to embed them within your account using one of your seats so that they can have full access to all the features. They do not currently have the access to add their own lead records. It's really working the leads that are sent from the agent side down to the lender side. That's how it is today, but I will say that we are actively looking at improving that.
I like that, man. So how would you recommend, let's say we want to build this out like Stuart is saying. Let's say we want to get our financial advisor, our insurance guy, our home inspector, and our lender all into Chime. How do you do these two things? Number one, how can we make sure that we're keeping them in the loop on everything, whether it's through tagging them in notes on specific people, or whether it's through actually emailing or texting them through the system? What would you recommend?
Yeah, it's a good question. You do have the ability, let me just address that second point first. You do have the ability to add them as a lead record, so to speak, in the platform. And you could use that to manage communication to that person and send out details, right? That's a manual copy and paste typically of what you're trying to do on communication to that individual partner, right? If you want them to be part of your actual instance, have the ability to work alongside you, add new lead records, have certain permissions. And of course you can lock down permissions. I think it's worth pointing out on our tab that if you wanted to add someone and give them access only to certain pieces of your system, you would control your permissions and make it so that they're only given access to what you want them to see, right? So this would be a key component of setting up your organization if they're using actual seats on your platform. The communication piece, you can email and text them as if they're lead records, as if they're a lead in your platform. Future optimizations on that front as well, I will say. Now, we do have what's called the vendor partner feature. This is not a dedicated account for these vendors or partners. What happens here is I could add my home inspection companies, my pest control companies, whatever that might be. And when I'm creating a transaction in Chime, then I can add these individuals and send out a quick email notification to them with the lead's contact information. So that's not necessarily a collaboration model in that scenario. That is, I'm sending out a quick referral for you. Here's their contact details and what I know about their address. So that's the vendor partner feature. There's a variety of different ways to set this up on our platform.
Yeah, I like that feature because you can have several home inspectors. You could have several, any other part of the normal transaction you would do in there. But then you can also have, your 3 core pieces of the business or 4 core pieces of the business, and whether that's a banker, a financial advisor, 1 or 2 mortgage brokers that you're going to deal with, set up on a higher level. Where they're getting more information. Again, what you're trying to do here is grow your business. So you might not want to give them 100% access because you want them to be growing their business at the same time you're growing yours.
I love that, guys. That's awesome. I loved that you showed this because, again, I didn't think about adding past my lender. I didn't think about adding other people into this and being able to make them part of this transaction sooner rather than later. And then monetizing that, because that's the key for me.
Yeah, without question. And I'm sure if you asked, a mortgage broker that same question, they would probably have the same answer, right? They want to monetize more of their business. Yet we often work in silos. And I think that has to change.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. All right, Eric, what's this? What are you showing me right here, man?
And this is just me visualizing what I was telling you earlier of sharing a quick referral to your inspector partner. For example, if you've got that vendor partner list that you've built up in your system, then you can easily send an introduction email when you assign them or add them to the transaction in your platform, and send out the lead's basic information, maybe the transaction that's going to have the address of the property, and then you can customize the message, and this sends out an automatic email from the platform with those details to them. So not meant for ongoing collaboration in this scenario. They could, of course, respond and interact with you from there on, but you're assigning them to that role in the transaction, and it sends out a referral.
I like that. Easy. That's really good, guys. I love this. Thank you so much for showcasing this. Anything else you want to add here as we wind down?
No, just same thing as always. If you want to talk more about this topic, I'm happy to get on another call and expand further and do what we got to do to keep the business going.
Yeah, I think let's talk about how we can build. Eric, Stuart, let's talk about how we can build now relationships on the past clients and Sphere side, and what the tech involved is with that with Chime. Because I think there's one thing there's 2 things that we really need to go deeper into as the market shifts into a more normal market. And that's number 1, we need to go deeper into our database. And number 2, we really need to be out on social media more to create and strengthen those relationships. So I'd love to showcase that through Chime.
Well, I'll give you kudos on something, Tristan, which I've kind of adopted as one of my models, which is that bow tie funnel. I love the concept of the bow tie. I was at one of the shows recently, and a senior executive from one of the large franchises was speaking, and all they could talk about was top of funnel. And I find that the industry is getting too wrapped up in, oh my God, we've got to just drive our business from new leads and new leads and new leads and new leads. Well, that's going to dry up a little bit. So you really have to know how to negotiate your own CRM or your own database to get the most value out of it, which is the long-term relationship. How many touches are you going to need to eat for each specific client? And just because someone comes into your database today and doesn't transact in the first 3 months doesn't mean that they won't transact sometime in the next 2 years. So if that's a topic you want to go down the path with, I am all for it, because I'm a true believer in that. Yeah, the one side of the funnel is great, but ultimately, once you get through the transaction, what are you going to do in the long term with each one of those people that have come into your database, and whether they've transacted or not?
Yeah, and just to show people what you mean, just look at the top portion of this. We're always talking about conversion, online lead generation, and we're never talking about this part of it, which is the customer retention.
Which is actually more important, to be honest with you.
And as a matter of fact, you look at all of the big companies that try to sell us leads, Zillow, Realtor.com, those companies, they focus on this part and they do nothing over here, right? And that's why I love Chime. You combine both.
Well, they really focus on that dark blue section at the very front of the conversion rate, and then they
Yeah.
leave the agent to do the rest of that pre-transaction stuff. And so much it gets lost in the shuffle. But the real
Yeah.
successful agent is going to take that middle piece and work it beyond, to think about those things we talked about before. Is like, you bought a home 7 years ago. Are you looking to move? Are you looking to downsize? Are you looking at a vacation property? Are you looking at rental properties? Because again, ultimately, it's all about the wealth that you're creating through real estate or getting to that retirement stage.
Agreed. All right, let's do that. We got it. We got the next topic.
Awesome.
There we go. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, Stuart, Eric. Have an awesome week. Everybody else, thanks for joining us.
Take care, Tristan. Thanks a lot for hosting.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.